Good morning, everybody. Let's go ahead and call to order the License and Variance Board meeting for Wednesday, June 12th, 2019. The time is now 10 a.m. First item on the agenda is item 3A, which is a public hearing privilege license request, LIC 2019-13, for beer and wine package 2670 Cobb Parkway, Walgreen Corporation, DBA Walgreens number 5902, with Edward W. Hines as the applicant agent. Is Mr. Hines present? Mr. Hines, if you could please step to the podium, and for the record, if you could state your name, please.
Good morning, my name is.
A quick question: at the base of the microphone, is the green light on?
No, it is.
Okay, I skipped one part. For the record, my name is Roy Acree. I'm the fire chief here in the city of Smyrna. To my left is Scott Andrews, the assistant city administrator. To his left is Frank Martin, the director of public works. In front of Frank and Scott are Mary Arvin and Terry Graham. Terry's our city clerk, and Mary will be here this morning to record the official meeting minutes. So, good morning, welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
If you could please just describe to us, first of all, your role with Walgreens and some of the measures that the company, whether it's policies or practices through training that the company may have in place with regard to the responsible sale of alcohol.
Okay, definitely. I'm the store manager at the Walgreens, as you said, right near the Braves Stadium, and we take alcohol and tobacco very seriously, so all team members now have to do online courses, and we card every single customer regardless of how old they are now.
Okay, so you said that you're the store manager, and what are
Yes.
your typical hours?
That I work?
Yeah.
Usually around 7:30 to 5 p.m.
So you're there most days?
Yes.
Okay. What about your, at Walgreens, is there a requirement for the point of sales system that you have to enter a date of birth?
Yes, we have to either scan the card, the ID card now, or enter a date of birth for every customer purchasing alcohol now.
Okay. Any questions for the applicant?
Covered them all.
Sorry, I didn't mean to take all of them. Mr. Hines, so are you the registered agent at any other location for any?
No, I'm not.
Will this be the first time?
Yes.
Okay. So we do have a copy in our records here of your successful completion of the responsible alcohol sales and service certification that you obtained. Also, for the record, a background investigation was conducted by the Smyrna Police Department, and that investigation failed to reveal any information that would preclude the issuance of this license. This is a public hearing. If there's anybody here that would like to either speak for or against item 3A, LIC 2019-13, I would ask that you would step forward at this time. Seeing none, assuming no further questions, I will entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve beer and wines package 2670 Cobb Parkway, Walgreens Corporation, Walgreens number 5902, with Edward Hines as agent.
Second.
We have a motion that's properly seconded. I'll call for the vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Agenda is 3B, public hearing, privilege beer, wine, and liquor pouring, 4924 South Cobb Drive, Suite G, Monterey Mexican Restaurant number 21, DBA Monterey number 21, with Gustavo Mata as the agent. Is Mr. Mata, if you could please step forward. And this will be very similar to what you just heard. Good morning. If you could, for the record, please state your name.
Good morning. My name is Gustavo Mata. I'm with Monterey's Restaurant, South Cobb Drive, Smyrna.
Okay. So, similar questions to the previous applicant. Could you please describe to this board your role, your business hours, and some practices in place at your establishment that ensures the responsible sale of alcohol?
Yes, at the moment, I manage the store. I've been manager there for many years,
Okay.
since 1991. And I take it very serious, the liquor serving in there. And I train my employees, myself. I mean, I have experience in the business for many years. So I train in how to, who they're supposed to serve, who then they're done to get their liquor permit. And my hours there is like from 11 to 3, and then I come back like 6 to 11 again. So most of the time I'm there. Yes.
Okay. And what about training for staff? What type of training do you do for your employees?
I train in about my experience that I have. I train in not to serve to underage, and if they see a woman that looks like they're pregnant, to tell them, I mean, what's the risk about drinking alcohol, and also I train not to sell any takeout liquor because sometimes customers want to take the liquor out. So I train that I don't supposed to do that, and we do that like once a month. I talk to him, I get him together and talk to him about what to do. Yeah.
Any questions?
Very
for
good.
them?
No questions.
Also, just for the record and just for your awareness, it is a standard practice occasionally for the Smyrna Police Department to conduct undercover operations to ensure that establishments that have this privilege are abiding by the laws.
Right, I know.
We also have a copy in our record of your certification for the responsible alcohol sales and service. It is also true that the Smyrna Police Department did conduct a background investigation and found nothing that would preclude the issuance of this license. If there are, hold on. This is a public hearing. If there's anybody here that would like to speak either for or against item 3B, LSC 2019-15, I would ask that you would step forward at this time. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve license number 2019-15 for Monterey Mexican at 4924 South Cobb Drive.
I'll second.
We have a motion that's been properly seconded. If there's no further discussion, I'll call for the vote. Motion passes unanimously. Have a good day. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing for a variance request, V19-021, to allow front setback reduction from 35 to 24 feet for the construction of a 0.24 acres, 2740 Morris Circle, with Ron Rowland as the applicant. Is Mr. Rowland present? Good morning, sir. If you could please step forward to the podium. And just like everybody else, if you could state your name for the record.
Yeah, my name is Ron Rowland. I'm currently a resident of Smyrna, live on Roswell Street. I'm requesting a variance for 2740 Morris Circle and reducing the front setback to 24 feet from the current, I think it's 27.4 feet, and a reduction in the right side setback to 5 feet in order to demolish the existing house and carport and build a new structure.
Okay, well, that's perfect. So, and again, just for clarity and for the record, your request to do on this piece of property, what you want to do spawns, as you've just noted, 2 different variance requests, and we have to hear and vote on those 2 separately. But that doesn't mean that we can't talk about the entire project, which is typically what we intend to do. So that was a good summation of the thing that you're trying to do that spawns both of these setback variance requests. Anything else for the board at this time?
Nothing else.
Okay, if you could just have a seat on the front row, and I'll call forward Community Development Representative.
We stops planner 2, this one to allow front setback reduction from 35 feet to 24 feet at 2740 Morris Circle. as the applicant explained, that this is an existing non-conforming structure that they're wishing to demolish and rebuild on the existing foundation, and add an addition to the rear. The only part that needs variances are the part that's existing. So they just want to build on the same foundation that's already non-conforming. Additionally, the lot size is below it's a R15, 15,000 square foot zoning, and this lot is about 10,000 square feet. So it's under the minimum lot size. And furthermore, I had to brush up on my geometry. It's a parallelogram. So the two sides are
Stiles dropping
parallel
some
and the
knowledge this
front and
morning.
back are parallel, but it's at an angle.
I think you're right, yeah.
So that's also what,
So the primary hardship is in that the lot is an existing non-conforming. It's zoned R15, but it's only 10,000 square feet.
exactly,
So really, to do anything is going to require this type of a variance request.
exactly.
Okay.
And it's approximately 1,000 square foot house now. They're going to build a 2-story, 3,600 square foot house. The detached shed, the detached carport will go away, and there'll be one structure with an attached garage. We've analyzed the request and recommend approval with 3 conditions. These apply to both variances. One is the approval of the requested variance shall be conditioned upon the development of the property in substantial compliance with the site plan and elevation submitted with the variance application. 2, downspouts and gutters shall be installed to divert stormwater away from the adjacent properties. And 3, the applicant shall provide a tree protection and replacement plan prior to issuance of building permit. That third condition, it's a standard condition that we apply to any new construction or when a house is taken down to the foundation and rebuilt. So we're not adding it, it's just a standard condition that we thought should be made clear.
Okay. Any questions for staff?
Sir.
Mr. Rowland, do you agree to these stipulations that was put on?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Any further questions for either the applicant or the staff? This is a public hearing. If there's anybody here to speak for or against item 3C V19-021, I would ask that you would step forward at this time. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve variance request V9-021, allow front setback reduction from 35 to 24 foot for the construction of new single-family home, land lot 560, 0.24 acres at 2740 Morris Circle.
Second.
We have a motion that's been properly seconded. If there's no further discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Or buffering.
There we go. Next item on the agenda is item 3D V19-022. It's a public hearing variance request to allow side setback reduction from 10 feet to 5 feet for the construction of a new single-family home. Land lot 560, 0.24 acre, 2740 Morris Circle. Again, for the one, if you could just step forward for a second. Is there any additional information that you wish to add?
As Mr. Stiles pointed out, the lot is a parallelogram, and so the front corner of the garage impacts into that setback area. It's not the whole length of that right side, so it's
Just
a small triangle that will require the side setback reduction.
I understand. Thank you. Any questions for the applicant?
No.
Mr. Stobbs, Community Development, any additional information?
Same hardships, same conditions, nothing additional.
Same 3 conditions. And again, for the record, Mr. Rowland, you agree to those conditions set forth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you, sir. This is a public hearing. If anybody here that would like to speak either for or against item 3D V19-022, I would ask that you would step forward at this time. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve V19-022, located at 2740 Morris Circle, for the setback reduction from 10 feet to 5 feet.
I second.
We have a motion that's been properly seconded. If there's no further discussion, I'll call for the vote. Motion's approved unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Morris. Or I'm sorry, Mr. Rowland. Sorry about that. Morris Circle. I knew there was a Morris there somewhere. I've only had one cup of coffee instead of two, so. Next item on the agenda is item 3E, which is a public hearing variance request V19-023 to allow an additional wall sign, land lot 847, 1.89 acres, 2589. Representatives from Aldi here. All right, so is
Good morning. Good.
I thought everybody stood up. I thought they were all coming forward. If you could both please state your name for the
I'm
record.
Al Keeler. I'm the real estate director with Aldi in Georgia.
Keeler,
Keeler, Keeler.
and you?
And I'm Kathy White. I'm with Georgia Certified Signs, the installation company for Aldi Food Market.
Okay. So, Mr. Keeler, or Ms. White, whichever you prefer, could you please just briefly explain to the board the thing that has spawned this variance request? What is it that you would like to do?
We'd like to potentially add a second sign. We've got a tower element at the corner of our building. One of the towers faces Spring Road. The other one kind of faces Cumberland and Spring Road. And right now, we're only allowed one sign. We have it installed facing Spring Road. What we'd like to do is install a second sign on the other tower. That's how all of our standard Aldi locations currently are, with the two logos on the building. I think it'll increase visibility for us. The sign's at about 20 feet in height on the building there. And with the recent McDonald's expansion and remodel next door to us, there's now open visibility, more so than there used to be at that intersection of Cumberland and Spring. We really would like to take advantage of that to try to increase our sales and customer base. And then we also are restricted in our signage square footage that we currently have now, so we're seeking to have an increased square footage on our sign as well to match our prototypical signage square footage on our buildings. Anything else for you to add?
So just like the last variance request, this total request also spawns two, as you've just, the first one that we're contemplating is for the additional wall sign, and the second one is, as you just alluded to allow an increase in total square footage. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So currently, on the actual building, there is one sign.
Right.
Yes.
And in addition to that, out by the street, there's the monument sign at the main entrance. Is that correct?
Correct.
And your request is to add a second sign to the building,
Correct.
which would also spawn the additional total square footage. Okay. Any questions at this time for the applicant?
This time.
Okay, if you could have a seat on the front, please. Again, from Community Development, Mr. Joey Stobbs.
This is variance request V19-023 and V19-024. Applicant, as stated, would like to add a second wall sign and to increase the area of that wall sign at the Aldi. I'm not sure if y'all remember, but about a year ago, we granted Aldi a variance to reduce the front setback so they could redo the front facade of the building. We were supportive of that. For signage, we're very strict about our interpretation and enforcement of the sign code. It's our determination that there's really no significant hardship. Greater visibility of the store is not a hardship, in our opinion. Usually it's the other way around, people saying there's less visibility, therefore we need more signage. So we've analyzed the request and recommend denial on both of those variance requests.
Okay. Any questions for staff?
No.
Thank you, Mr. Stobbs. Mr. Keeler, Ms. White, so just for a little background, the elected body in the city of Smyrna for years have devoted a tremendous amount of time in contemplating ordinances that govern signs for businesses. And as I'm sure you're both well aware, that's not an easy discussion to have. Those discussions over the years have involved public input to get the general citizen and business owners' input as to what they think. The point is they've devoted a lot of effort to really not so much limit, but clearly define within the entire city of Smyrna what is and is not allowable with regard to commercial signs. And as you can imagine, if a jurisdiction does not take the effort to do some type of thing like that, then you see communities that have all types of signs that are covered up and in many people's eyes just unattractive. So Mr. Stobbs mentioned, again, just for the record, the hardship. When community development contemplates a variance request, there are 4 primary standards that they measure that variance request against. And this board in particular focuses on all of them, but one is more typical than the other, and that is, as Mr. Stobbs mentioned, the hardship. Your job as the applicant would be to compel this board to understand that without this variance request, that your business would suffer a hardship. Okay, so having said that, is there anything else that you would like to add?
Yeah, I'll let you speak as well, but I think there is a hardship created here. As mentioned earlier, we did expand our store and applied for a variance to decrease the setback in the past. And as a company, we're going through and remodeling all of our existing stores. We'd like to up our image, and that's what we've been doing throughout the United States. I'm in the store in Smyrna, if you guys have seen it. I think we've done a pretty good job of increasing the attractiveness of the interior and exterior of the building. I know we're not McDonald's, but McDonald's reconfiguration on their site does open up visibility to the intersection of Cumberland and Spring. And I think just looking at the building from that intersection, it's a big missed opportunity for us, which I think is considered a hardship. Because if you look at the building, you see a building and you don't see any logo on the building. Yes, we still have the monument sign, but that's at around, 10 feet tall or so? And on the building, the sign is around 20 to 25 feet high off the ground. So there is open visibility. And if you're new to the area or traveling on Cumberland Boulevard North and South, which is a pretty busy road, you don't know what's there. And we consider that missed sales opportunity for us, especially after completing a very expensive remodel and expansion of our building. We want to take advantage of the visibility and make sure that our impact and people can see where we are and know where our store location is. And it looks better with our sign there as opposed to how it looks now is just a blank slate with nothing up on the building. So I think all those things would be considered a hardship for Aldi, in our opinion.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, and I certainly appreciate that, and I can tell you with absolute confidence that this city is happy that your business is here in our city, and we want you to be successful. But back to the subjectivity, it's also true that you know that location has been there for quite a while. People do know where it is. There is a monument sign at the main entrance, and there is a sign on the building. You know that, and both of those things currently, as they exist, conform to the requirements set forth by the city of Smyrna. Any questions for the applicant? Mr. Stobbs, did you have any additional?
I'm sorry.
On the rare cases where we have granted variances for signage, we're usually transferring the total amount of sign for like a reduction of the monument sign to the wall sign.
Right.
Or cases in that
Right.
type of circumstance, so. But we've rarely approved sign variances through this board.
Okay. Any questions for staff? This is a public hearing. If there's anybody here that would like to speak on behalf of item 3E, which is V19-023, I would ask that you would step forward at this time. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to deny variance request of V19-023, allow additional wall sign land lot 847, 1.89 acres, 2589 Spring Road, Aldi Food Market.
Second.
We have a motion to deny is properly seconded. If there's no further discussion, I'll call for the vote. Motion to deny passes. You do have the opportunity to appeal the decision of this board. Ms. Graham, make sure that I'm correct in this statement. The applicant has the right to appeal. That appeal must be in writing within 10 business days. Ms. Terry Graham? Okay. So if you wish to do that, then you would need to see Ms. Graham. So just hang on just 1 second. I realized that you had two variances, and the second one kind of is dependent on the first, but it is on the agenda, and we do have to hear it and take action. So the next item on the agenda is item 3F, which is a public hearing variance request V19-024 to allow increase in wall sign area from 40 square foot to 74 square foot, 2589 Spring Road for Aldi Food Market. Again, present is Mr. Keeler and Ms. White. Did either of you have any additional for this particular variance request?
Our only question being, we understand that obviously probably the second sign is not going to be allowed. Would it be any way permittable to allow the second sign, but at the allowable square footage of 40 square foot?
That contemplation would have to be, again, through an application through community development and contemplate, what would be allowable and what would not. And again,
Okay.
just for the record, the decision, any decision of this board is appealable with notice by writing.
Okay.
Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Mr. Stobbs, did you have any additional to add for the second item?
Is there nothing additional?
Thank you. Any questions for staff or for the applicant?
Nope.
This is a public hearing. If there's anybody here that'd like to speak for or against item 3F, V19-024, I'd ask that you'd step forward at this time. Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to deny F19-024 variance request for Aldi Food Market located at 2589 Spring Road.
A second.
We have a motion to deny that's been properly seconded. If there's no further discussion, I'll call for the vote. Motion to deny passes unanimously. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is item 3G, which is an appeal of the denial of an alcohol permit for Mr. Antonio Favors. I would call to the podium Tucker.
Good morning, Chief.
Good morning, sir.
Been a while since I've been here at the License and Variance Board, so it's always a delight.
Yes.
Let me have, to bring up Mr. Favors and Holly Strenad from the Police Department. And because of the nature of this, I'm going to swear both of them. You don't normally do that with an applicant for variances and stuff, but if both of you will raise your right hand and repeat after me. Or you don't have to repeat after me, just say yes or no. Do Do you solemnly swear that the evidence you'll give in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, thank you. So when you come up, I'll ask you, like everybody else has done, to speak nice and clearly here into the microphone so that it goes into the recording. Mr. Favors, if you'll take a seat right there, and I'm going to ask Holly Strenid from the police department a few questions. So if you'll, let's switch places so you can step into the microphone. State your name clearly for the record.
Holly Strenid.
And could you spell your last name, because it's kind of an unusual name?
Sure. It's spelled Strenad.
And are you an employee of the city of Smyrna?
Yes, I am.
Who do you work for?
The police department, records division.
Right, so what do you do there in the police department records division? You keep the records, right?
I do. I run the background checks. I do civilian fingerprints, and I also issue alcohol permits to all employees for the city restaurants.
Okay, so as part of the regular course of your job and as part of the regular course of the activity of the police department here in the city of Smyrna, if somebody comes in and files an application with the city for an alcohol server permit, they come into the police department, they fill out some paperwork, and among other things, they give you permission to run their criminal background check. Is that right?
Yes, they do.
And they pay you a fee because you have to pay GCIC a fee.
Correct.
For it, right? And so what I have in front of me is some documents, and I'm just going to show these to you and ask you a question about them. And then if the board wants to look at them, they can. We'll turn them over, but that might not be necessary. Is this the original application that Mr. Favors filled out and signed on, looks like the 13th of May?
Yes, it is.
Okay, and then is this, what I'm showing you now, is this a true and correct copy of the GCIC, that's the Georgia Crime Information Center, criminal history record that was run either by you or someone else at the police department of the city of Smyrna on the 13th of May?
Yes.
And is this a record that is kept in the regular course of business by the police department?
Yes.
Okay, so when you or whoever over there, may well have been you, ran Mr. Favors' criminal background record, and I can show this to you, did it show any criminal history of this applicant that would mandate denial of his application for an alcohol server permit according to the city's code of ordinances?
Yes.
And what did it show?
It showed a felony conviction, and he was placed on felony probation, first offender probation, for 10 years following this conviction. And there were also 2 misdemeanor marijuana convictions within the time frame of the ordinance.
And GCIC shows probation adjudication for that one as well?
Yes.
And both of these showed, and I can, if you don't know the answer to this, I can show you where it is. But both of these matters show that they've been disposed in the court system. They're not pending anymore. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right. So I don't have any more questions for Ms. Strenid as to what the GCIC report shows. If the board has questions for her, they can ask him, and Mr. Favors, the applicant, can ask her questions. We just want to get the information here.
Does the board have any questions for Mr. Strenid?
Okay, if you will have a seat, I appreciate that. Mr. Favors, if you'll step up here, and also if you will speak nice and clearly in the microphone. Is anything that either I have said or that Ms. Strenid has said so far been inaccurate that you want to correct?
No, sir.
Okay, and so just to be clear for the board as to what the criminal background showed, a couple of years ago, you got arrested for theft at the felony level. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and so when you went to court, I assume, and I don't want to testify for you, but I assume just because of the timing of this, you didn't actually have a trial on this. Did you either plead guilty or no contest to the charges in return for treatment as a first offender?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you're currently under what's known as first offender status. So even though you have on this record a felony conviction for theft, if you complete all the requirements of the first offender program, at some point in the future, so way out 50 years from now, if somebody runs this, it'll show nothing at all. Is that your understanding?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I don't think I will have any more questions for you, but we'll take some questions for you from the board.
Mr. Favors, good morning.
Good morning.
So this board has copies of the letter, the appeal letter that you drafted, the two-page letter, and, you know, in that, you certainly go through some details, but just kind of as a setting the stage, this board obviously is here to contemplate whether or not we will agree to allow you to have this server permit.
Yes, sir.
So that you can work, I think, at Red Lobster, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Are you currently, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I currently work there, but they just allow me to do like the to-go orders or like host, just
Right.
so I can have a source of income. So it's just to
Right.
grow and build inside the organization.
Okay. So your job here is to give us some information that would compel this board to kind of really kind of believe in you, right? And again, we've read the appeal letter that you've written, and you know, you can get into as much detail as you want about what happened, but help us to understand how what happened to you or whatever led you to make those decisions in 2018. How is that different from who you are today?
I think it was 2 years ago, and it just taught me that's not something that I like to do. It's not something I want to be involved in. Just any sort of trouble life is just much simpler without being in trouble. It was, at the time I felt there was a reason for it, but looking back on it, I know it was no real reason for it. I could have been better ahead of time to save more money, or just explain to them this wasn't a good year for what I did. So it was just ways around it. And looking back on it, I understand that at the time I was just trying to do something good for my family, and yeah, I wouldn't do it again. It was something that I learned from. I was told by multiple people in my family and things like that that's not something that I want to get into, any sort of trouble, any sort of crime, anything bad. And they were right. It would have been better if I would have stayed away from it, but knowing what I know now is part of the reason I haven't been in any more trouble, because it's not worth it, and I'm not that type of person. I'm a pretty happy guy, pretty outgoing. Yeah.
So Mr. Tucker mentioned your first offender status, and that, you know, if you were to successfully complete the entire all of the requirements, then that would be a very positive thing for you, obviously, right?
Yes,
And I'm kind of paraphrasing what he said.
Yes, sir.
So help us to understand some details of your requirements as a first offender, and what are some of the things while you're on probation that you're trying to clear this off of your record? What are some of the things that are required of you? What do you have to do?
There are fees as far as my probation goes that I have to pay every month. It's $50 to $75. Anywhere in there is fine, because it's just I'm paying it until I get off of it. So they just want you to pay on that. And there's also restitution that has to be paid to the location that I stole from. So I'm also paying on that just as much as I can when I can to get it down. It was $3,000, but honestly, it was just me being in the moment. They were asking questions, and that's just a number I gave off. So it just kind of seemed like that much, but it was much less. And knowing what I know now, I would have been, I guess, more honest with them, or more under control of myself to explain that because it wasn't nearly that much stuff, but that's just a number I gave off when they asked. So I just pay on that as much as I can and stay away from anything that would deter my probation or cause me to end up in any more trouble.
Mr. Favors, how are you doing today?
How's it going, boss?
How's this process changed you? How's everything you've been through changed your outlook?
It really, like I say, everyone kind of already told me about it growing up, so it just kind of showed me that I was still hard-headed as I thought I was when I was 12 or 13 or younger, when they would say certain smaller things and I would go do it anyway. So it just showed me, it's like I said, it's not a path I want to take. There's nothing in the criminal system, jail, crime, any of that nature for me. I'm an actor. I consider myself a comedian, so I just try to stay on that path, keep people happy, keep people laughing. And that's the easiest way to do that. It doesn't even involve me doing anything illegal, so it works out.
Have, do I understand you have started making payments to the restitution of the $3,000?
Yes, sir.
So besides, so you have to pay fines and you have to pay restitution, do you have to meet with your probation officer periodically?
Yes, like I said, I've only been on probation. They started me on probation last year in March.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm about a year and a couple months down, and I see him every roughly 3 months. So I've seen him about 4 times, and it's been pretty smooth. It hasn't been.
And how long will you be on probation?
I'm supposed to be on probation for 3 years, but as he said, it expands to 10 years in case I can't do the restitution, or if, like I said, I get in any more trouble, which I don't plan on. But if anything else happens, it's extended to 10 years.
So is it your understanding that if you were to successfully complete all requirements for the fines and the restitution and not get in any more trouble in 3 years, then your probation would end in 3 years?
Yes, sir.
But if you got in trouble again, or if you couldn't pay off the debt that was owed, then it would be extended further. Is
Correct.
that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Tucker?
I'll just clarify for the board. So under first offender status, I mean, when you say get in trouble, it depends on what the trouble would be.
Yeah.
If he just can't do his restitution, then that can be worked out. If he were arrested again and was found guilty, then he would no longer be on first offender status, and he wouldn't need an alcohol server permit because his original sentence would take hold and he'd be in jail.
Oh, I understand. Thank you. Okay. All right, Mr. Favors, did you have anything else that you'd like to say to this board?
No, I appreciate you all for having me up here.
Okay. Well, thank you for being here today. It sounds like, regardless of what happens when I call for the motion, it sounds like you're on the right track, and I hope that you are. Just from a personal perspective, be careful about who you hang out with. They can influence us as well, and that kind of thing. Is there any further questions for the applicant or for Mr. Tucker or anybody?
I'm just kind of thinking through everything we've heard from you. We appreciate your candor, and seems like you've definitely learned from this experience.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, I'll call for the vote. I'm sorry. I'll call for a motion first.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of too.
One moment.
No problem.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
I make a motion to approve denial of an alcohol permit of Tanio Favors. All right.
Approve the appeal.
Approve the appeal.
I think let's.
Can you clarify for us?
If I can clarify for the board, let's word it that the motion is to grant the appeal of the denial of the alcohol server
Thank you, Mr.
permit,
Tucker.
which means, assuming the board votes favorably on that motion, then Mr. Favors would receive his permit.
To grant, a motion to grant the appeal.
Make a motion to grant. alcohol permit for Antonio's Favors.
Like the second that.
We have a motion to grant the appeal in favor of Mr. Favors is properly seconded. If there's no further. Motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, Mr. Favors. And
Thank you
again,
all so much.
good luck to you in the future.
Y'all come visit me. I'm at Red Lobster on Cloud Park.
All right. No more
Great
trouble, right?
bartender.
No more trouble, right?
No more trouble at all.
All right, sir.
Thank you all so
Thank you.
much.
Good luck to you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. Yeah. Last item on the agenda is item 4A, the approval of the May 22nd, 2019 License Variance Board meeting minutes. Do I hear a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion to approve the License Variance Board meeting minutes for May 22nd, 2019 has been properly seconded. I'll call for the vote. Motion passes unanimously. I'll adjourn this meeting at 10:46 a.m. Yeah. That's
Thank you very much.